Today, we're plunging into something truly fascinating, a question that's, well, it's captivated people forever, hasn't it?
Absolutely. How to live longer.
Exactly. How can we live longer and better? That's the key part.
Right.
We've been digging into this really insightful educational piece called How to Live Longer, the Future of Aging. And our mission today really is to unpack what's inside. You know, the science, the philosophy, the sheer possibilities it presents.
There's a lot in there.
There really is. We want to pull out the key insights for you and maybe some surprising facts along the way.
Always some surprises.
What really grabbed me right from the start was this fundamental shift the source talks about.
Which is?
That aging, it's maybe not this inevitable fate we always thought it was.
Yes. The idea of it being treatable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Treatable, like a condition. That just changes the whole conversation, doesn't it?
It really does. And the source material digs into why that shift is happening. It starts, fundamentally, at the cellular level. Aging isn't just getting tired. It's specific biological processes. You know, things going wrong inside our cells.
Like what, specifically?
Well, think about your DNA. It's got these little protective end caps, like on shoelaces. They're called telomeres.
Right, I've heard of those.
Every time a cell divides, they get a tiny bit shorter. And when they get too short, the cell either stops dividing, which isn't great, or worse. It can become what scientists sometimes call a zombie cell, a senescent cell.
A zombie cell. Sounds ominous.
It kind of is. It hangs around, doesn't die like it should, and it pumps out inflammatory stuff that harms nearby healthy cells.
Wow, okay, so that's one piece.
That's one big piece. But it's not just telomeres. The source points out it's complex. You've got accumulated DNA damage over time.
It's just wear and tear.
Sort of, yeah. Mutations, breaks. And then there's mitochondrial decline.
Those are the cell's power plants, right?
Exactly. They start losing steam, not producing energy efficiently, and you combine that with those inflammatory zombie senescent cells.
Okay, I see. So understanding that cellular picture
Is precisely why we can now start talking about aging as something potentially treatable, not just something to endure.
that makes sense. So if you treat aging like a condition, wow, that really opens up possibilities.
It does.
And the source lays out some incredible technologies targeting these exact things you mentioned, like CRISPR, for example.
Gene editing.
Yeah, but it sounds like more than just editing. It's like having the precision to potentially rewrite the cellular instructions for aging.
That's the potential, yes, to correct mutations that drive parts of the aging process.
And what about those zombie cells? Senolytics.
Senolytics. That's another really exciting area mentioned.
They sound like a cleanup crew.
That's a great way to put it. They're drugs specifically designed to seek out and eliminate those senescent cells.
So literally flushing out decades of cellular junk.
That's the goal. Removing that source of chronic inflammation, it's a very direct intervention.
It seems incredibly direct, but what's stopping this from being available now? I mean, what's the biggest hurdle, according to the source? It's just the science or other things?
That's a really important question. The science is moving incredibly fast, almost dizzyingly so.
Right.
But the source material points to a few things. Regulation is a big one. Getting approval for treatments that fundamentally alter aging. Well, that's complex.
I can imagine. Years of trials, safety checks.
Exactly. And it's expensive. Then there's societal perception. Are people ready for this? And just the sheer scale, how do you make this accessible?
Yeah, access is a huge point we need to come back to.
Definitely. But the potential is there. It feels like a new era where delaying, maybe even reversing aspects of aging is becoming scientifically plausible.
And it's not just drugs, right? The source mentioned AI, too.
Oh, absolutely. AI-driven diagnostics are getting incredibly sophisticated, predicting your personal aging trajectory.
Like a crystal ball for your health.
Sort of, yeah. And then tailoring interventions specifically for you, personalized longevity medicine. And maybe one of the most mind-bending areas is epigenetic reprogramming.
Yeah, what's that? Sounds complex.
The basic idea is, well, your DNA sequence doesn't change much, but how your genes are expressed changes over time. That's epigenetics.
Like volume knobs on the genes?
Kind of. And some of those settings change with age in unhelpful ways. Reprogramming aims to reset those knobs back to a more youthful pattern.
Reset the cells.
To a functionally younger state. The source puts it beautifully, like giving your biology a second chance.
A second chance for your biology. That's massive.
It is.
But, as we read through the source, it became clear pretty quickly that just extending life biologically isn't the whole story.
Not at all. That's where the philosophy comes in.
Right. The material really pivots, doesn't it? It asks these profound questions. What does it actually mean to live longer? And how do we make sure those extra years are,
Meaningful.
Purposeful?
Exactly. It challenges our whole definition of growing old.
It really does.
And, historically, aging wasn't always seen as this negative thing. In many cultures, elders were revered.
The keepers of wisdom, right.
Stewards of memory, carriers of legacy. The source really emphasizes that this future vision of aging must find ways to honor that wisdom.
So technology should be about vitality, not just looking young.
Precisely. Extending health span, not just lifespan. And crucially, longevity has to include emotional health, relationships, spiritual well-being.
It's holistic.
Yes. The goal isn't simply a longer biological existence, but one that deepens our connection to ourselves and others, deepens our humanity.
Does the source give examples of how we might sort of reintegrate that respect for elders, even while we're talking about biological reversal? Feels like a bit of a paradox.
It's a tension we have to navigate, for sure. It doesn't offer simple blueprints, but it points towards valuing mentorship, intergenerational connection, finding roles for experienced individuals that go beyond traditional retirement.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just the vision the source paints is dazzling, isn't it?
It really is.
Picturing 90-year-olds hiking mountains or mentoring tech startups.
Or AI companions that don't just track your vitals, but maybe help guide your personal growth, offer wisdom based on accumulated data.
It sounds almost like science fiction sometimes.
A little, but the source argues compellingly that elements of this aren't that far off. It's an emerging reality we need to start thinking about now.
Right now. Because it won't just happen perfectly on its own.
Absolutely not. And the source is very clear about this. For this future to be a good one, we need to be incredibly thoughtful.
About the ethics.
Yes, critical questions of responsibility, fairness, equity. If these powerful technologies arrive, who gets them?
Yeah, the nightmare scenario is longevity becoming just another luxury for the super rich.
Exactly. A two-tiered society based on lifespan. The source stresses we need robust ethical frameworks. We need to consciously design for equitable access. This has to benefit everyone.
All of humanity, not just a select few. That's crucial.
It is.
And running through all of this from our reading is this thread of meaning. Purpose. The source puts it so starkly. Longevity without meaning is just duration. That really hit home for me.
Me too. It's not enough to just be here longer.
It's about cultivating why you're here, having that reason to get up in the morning, fostering deep connections, caring.
For ourselves, for others, for the planet.
That's how aging shifts from something passive that happens to you into something active, a legacy you're building.
And interestingly, the science and this philosophical side, they really come together here.
How so?
Well, the source actually cites research showing this connection. People with strong social ties, they tend to live longer.
Okay, that makes sense.
They recover faster from illness, having a sense of purpose. It's linked to lower inflammation, better cognitive function later in life.
Wow. So purpose is biologically protective.
It seems to be. Even things like compassion, service to others, they can activate positive pathways in the brain. So in a very real sense, meaning is medicine.
Meaning is medicine. I like that.
And that thread of care through community, creativity, even just quiet reflection, that's what weaves vitality through all life stages.
So as we get better at extending lifespan with science,
we absolutely must also focus on extending what the source calls our soul span.
soul span. Tell me more about that.
It's about the depth, the richness, the quality of our inner lives, our wisdom, our connections, our capacity for joy and love.
So not just more years, but more life in those years.
Exactly, expanding life inwardly as well as outwardly.
Okay. So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
Well, this deep dive, it's really shown us a new potential vision of aging, hasn't it?
Definitely.
It's about embracing everything, our biology, yes, but also these incredible emerging technologies and our spirit, our inner lives.
The whole picture.
It suggests using tools like AI, not just to, optimize our bodies, but maybe even to illuminate our choices, help us live better.
Make wiser decisions.
And crucially, honoring aging, not as this inevitable decline we used to fear, but maybe as a deepening, a chance to grow wiser, more connected, more whole.
That's a powerful way to frame it, and perhaps the ultimate message from the source material we explored.
Yeah.
It isn't just about, cheating death.
No.
It's aiming for something much bigger. It's about expanding life itself. Yes, in time, extending lifespan.
But more importantly,
Expanding it in meaning and in love, that capacity for connection.
expanding life in time, meaning, and love.
So the final thought maybe for you to consider is, what does that idea of soulspan really mean to you? As you look ahead, how might you actively choose to deepen the richness of your own inner life?
Hello and welcome to The Explainer. You know, for basically all of human history, there's been this one question that's echoed from ancient myths all the way to our modern biotech labs. And it's a question we're finally starting to answer. So let's just dive right in. The real question here, it isn't just about adding more years to the clock, is it? It's about how we can live not just longer, but with more vitality, more purpose, and honestly, more joy. And this really gets to the heart of it all. On one side, you've got the simple goal of adding years to life. That's the science of pure longevity. But on the other, there's this much deeper, more profound goal, adding life to our years. And that's the crucial difference, right? The difference between just duration and real, meaningful depth. So to really get into this quest for more life, we have to start with the basics. How does aging even work? I mean, to upgrade the machine, you first have to understand how it's built. And it turns out it all happens at the cellular level. Deep inside us, our bodies are keeping time on this incredibly intricate biological clock. The whole process really breaks down into three key things. First, you've got your telomeres. Think of them like the little plastic tips on your shoelaces. They're the protective caps on our DNA, and with every single cell division, they get a little shorter, a little more frayed. Then you've got your mitochondria. These are the tiny power plants inside our cells, and over time, they just start to lose steam. And finally, these things called senescent cells start to build up. People call them zombie cells, which is a great name for them, because they refuse to die and they just hang around causing inflammation. Okay, now this is probably the single most important shift in thinking in a generation. Scientists are now classifying aging as a treatable condition, not some inevitable fate. Just let that sink in for a second. This means aging isn't something we just have to sit back and accept anymore. It's a problem that could be managed, delayed, and, get this, maybe even reversed. And that, right there, changes everything. So as you can imagine, this new way of thinking has ignited a complete revolution in medicine and technology. We're actually moving away from just treating the diseases of old age, like heart disease or dementia, and we're starting to target the aging process itself. This is where it gets really, really exciting. And the tools for this revolution, they're just incredible. I mean, we are talking about CRISPR gene editing to literally go in and repair our DNA. We have drugs called senolytics that can hunt down and destroy those zombie cells. There are NAD+ boosters that act like a charging cable for our cellular batteries. And we're using powerful AI to predict our own personal aging path and suggest ways to fix it. But the holy grail, the thing that sounds like pure science fiction, might just be this: epigenetic reprogramming. Look, this isn't about slowing the clock down anymore. This is the potential to actually turn the clock back. It's the ability to tell a cell, hey, forget that you're old, and get it to behave like it's young again. It is quite literally a biological reset button. The implications are, well, they're staggering. Of course, extending life like this brings up some much bigger questions. If we have the how, we absolutely have to start thinking about the why. A longer life is going to demand a much deeper philosophy of living. I really love this quote. It just nails the challenge perfectly. This whole revolution can't just be about vanity, right? It's not about just looking younger or collecting more birthdays. It has to be about vitality, about enhancing our ability to live fully, with energy, and with a real sense of purpose. And that really brings us to the heart of it all. What are we going to do with all that extra time? Does it just mean more years of wisdom, deeper connections with the people we love? Or does it just mean, well, more of the same? This isn't just a question for scientists to figure out. It's a question for every single one of us. You know, our culture really shapes how we see this. In a lot of modern societies, we're kind of taught to fear aging. We see it as this period of decline and loss. But in so many traditional cultures, it's a phase to be revered. Elders are seen as the keepers of wisdom, of stories, of legacy. The future of longevity has to find a way to bridge that gap. So, if science gives us the tools for a longer lifespan, what gives us a better one? Well, it turns out that living well is truly an art form. And the good news is, it's an art that any of us can learn and cultivate. And the pillars of this art are, pretty timeless. It comes down to things like having a sense of purpose, a real reason to get out of bed in the morning. It's about nurturing deep, meaningful connections with other people. And it's about practicing care for our own minds and bodies, for the people around us, and for the world we all share. These aren't just fluffy, nice ideas. They are absolute essentials. And this leads to a pretty profound truth. Meaning is actually medicine. And I'm not just being philosophical here. This is biology. The data is clear. Having a strong sense of purpose is directly linked to lower inflammation in your body. Having strong social ties can literally help you recover from an illness faster. It's wild. Our minds and our cells are in this constant, nonstop conversation. So this leads us to this beautiful new idea. We all talk about lifespan, right? The length of our life. But what about our soul span? The depth, the richness, the meaning that we cultivate inside that life. If you ask me, that's the metric we should really be trying to maximize. Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. What does the future actually look like when we combine the hard science of lifespan with the deep art of soul span? Well, it means we get to completely redefine what it means to grow old. In this new vision, aging isn't this slow, sad decline. It's a continual transformation. It could be a world where a 90-year-old has the vitality to mentor a startup or go hike a mountain. It's a world where having longer lives doesn't dilute our humanity, but actually deepens it with all that accumulated wisdom and experience. So I think the ultimate takeaway is this. This whole quest to live longer is evolving. It's not just a fight against the end anymore. It's becoming this grand, incredible project to expand the very definition of life itself, to fill our days with more time, yes, but more importantly, with more meaning and more connection. The only question left is, what will you do with that possibility?